I've felt like having to fight for my place, you know, as a Black woman living in America.
They
Right?
make you earn your identity.
It feels like it. It feels
like you're earning an
yeah.
identity in which that I won't. I'm saying this. I didn't ask to earn it or be it. I came here, right? As an immigrant, we
Mhm.
came to this country. We came from a country where we saw a lot of us,
Mhm.
whether oppressed or non-oppressed. We were here. We were there together. So when we come
Mhm.
here, I want to just be absorbed. Like that's what I always wanted was that absorption of me and that curiosity.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like the curiosity of the pop culture is really American bonding. You have to know the
Mhm.
movie, you got to know the TV show, you got to know the poetic justice braids, you know. And it's like, did you tell the hair lady you wanted poetic justice braids, or you just wanted big, thick braids? You know what I'm saying? It's like, wait, why would you say that? And I'm like, I cannot win.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know. Welcome back to Between Two Worlds with Dr. Phebe, the podcast where immigrant parents and their children finally say the quiet parts out loud. I'm your host, Dr. Phebe Brako. I'm a therapist, a sandwich immigrant daughter, and someone who has personally been told that I'm becoming too American, which is always fascinating to hear because, respectfully, like I've lived my entire adult life here in the US. I moved here at a fresh, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed 18. So today's episode is called I'm Not Too American, You Just Raised Me Here. And whew, this one is for everyone who has ever code switched mid-sentence, which I kind of just did not long ago. And for those who have had to hide parts of themselves depending on the room or the space that they're in, or have also been made to feel like they're too much of one culture and not enough of another. So today we're going to be talking about identity, culture, belonging, and the emotional gymnastics of being raised between two worlds. And I'm not doing it alone. I have a guest with me today who understands this experience on a very, very deep level, right?
Deep level.
So today's guest is someone who I love and adore and knows exactly what it feels like to navigate two cultures at the same time. We're talking about immigrant expectations, American culture, identity confusion, and the tiny identity crisis that happens inside of us when your parents say, hey, that's not how we do things back home and things like that. So please welcome my dear friend and Salem sister, Dorinda.
Hello.
Thank you so
Hi,
much.
everybody. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm excited
Absolutely.
to share this.
I am very excited to have you too. And also just, just for context, we've known each other for
Oh, wow.
a while.
Yeah.
But we just met in person for the first time this year, even though we felt like we've been in each other's lives forever.
Yeah. Long years.
Years, really,
I was going to say, I think once I graduated, I almost figured out, I was like, Phoebe, I'm out. Like, I was like, everything was clicking after the end.
After the end, right? So even though we went to the same college, we went at different times, right? So you came right after I graduated. So I'm excited today because we're going to be unpacking the universal, immigrant child experience of basically being told that you're too American or you're too Western, and meanwhile you're literally like
doing the best.
You're doing the best that you can, and growing up.
Oh
and
my gosh.
and I remember even growing up hearing things like, American children are disrespectful. And meanwhile, like, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I go to an American school, right? I went to an American school in Ghana. It was called Soul Clinic International School. It was in Cantonment in the capital, Accra, right? And so you're hearing all these things. I'm like, well, but this is where I am, and like I'm spending 8 hours a day at the school or whatever. And so, like, what is the expectation here, right? And the funny thing is that as immigrant children, it feels like we learn how to shapeshift at a very, very early age.
It's a skill. The assimilation, the adaptation. And it's not like anyone even tells us to do it, honestly, because you don't come here and your parents don't say, go be a good X, Y, and Z, a good American. Like, they don't tell you that, or they don't even tell you to go be a good Ghanaian. They just tell you go to school. And so being too American, like when I was reflecting on that statement, it always followed with like you're too American. And then the action, it's always, to me, it's always led or followed by an action. You're too American. You're not showing me respect. Or you're too American. Like, why didn't you get that done?
Right.
You're too American. How do you even not know how to do something?
Right.
Because we know the Ghanaian, to me, I feel like the Ghanaian thing is always, how do you not know this thing? And you're like, when in this non-adult life that I'm living in was I supposed to adapt?
Right.
You know, this awareness, this ability to do. So for me, being too American was always like, you're too American and you're not showing respect. So I'm not speaking the way that I need to and requesting the things I need to do. But like you said, you're in a school system that's saying like, okay, after you've raised your hand, use your voice.
Yeah.
Speak up.
Right.
I mean, in the U.S. system, there's advocacy. There's you know, all these words that I'm supposed to say to the people around me for them to understand. And then that makes you too American. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And what is so funny, even thinking about it, is you again back to the topic of like shape shifting, right? You go to school and it's hey girl, hey, and that sort of thing where you're trying to blend in, and then you come home and it's yes ma, yes
the greeting, the
yes
greeting,
auntie.
the greeting.
You know, you have to like curtsy or or sometimes even like, I don't know, lay prostrate on the ground or something like that.
That is, I've never seen that in my life as a Ghanaian until my Nigerian friend entered my home. And she did that to my father. And I was sitting there looking at her like, girl, what are we doing here?
Right. That's because that's dictation.
Yeah.
Right. It's a very Nigerian thing. I think I've only seen it with Nigerians. I don't think that I've seen it with Ghanaians. I don't think that there is that we have any tribes per se that
would reflect that type of
Actually, maybe those in the northern part, you know, those from the north. I think they may, you know, they may do that. But listen, I'm not going to try to.
And that's the too American for me. I'm too American to know which parts of Ghana still do which parts of what.
I mean, listen, we have how many new regions. And I don't, in Ghana, when I grew up, it was 10, and now we have more than that. And I can't even tell you that I know every single one of them.
It was like 20-something.
Listen,
Okay. But yeah, we're still, I mean, I'm still here. And that whole shape-shifting thing, I don't know. For me, my story feels a wee bit different because from Ghana to the U.S. wasn't my story. It was Ghana, the Bahamas, and then the U.S. So too American is really said a lot out of my mother's voice. I don't hear that from my dad. And he's a school teacher with middle schoolers. So I think the empathy of understanding, like, you're already at an age where you're developing and understanding. So my father would never really say too American, but my mother, love her. But that too American statement came from her. And it was because I feel like she felt like she saw the loss of me and of the Ghanaian me. Because in Bahamas for 4 years, I had a twang. I had the Caribbean twang, you know, and then you have the Ghanaian accent. Right. It's a wild thing if I could replicate it to this day, but I can't. As you can see, I'm so American, or here, you know, my dialect now. But once I got to the U.S., for me, shape-shifting looked completely different. My identities turned into 3 things: Ghanaian, Bahamian, or Islander, and then I was like looking forward to becoming this American that I thought had freedom, that I thought could say what they needed to say. Yeah. So for me, shape-shifting, it felt a little bit more complicated because I was grieving Bahamas and Ghana. Wow. I was grieving the island culture that I had to learn as well. Wherever you go, you have to learn and adapt and assimilate, right? And accommodate for what you don't have going on. Right. So for me, coming to America, that too American situation, I was like, I don't even know who I am or what I'm supposed to be. Right. And to be honest, to take care of me, like to be okay. Yeah. So I don't know how to say this, but yeah, I feel like that's my only differentiating factor is that for me it was the Ghanaian, and I left Ghana when I was 3. Oh. So it's almost like no memory, no recollection. My first memory when people ask me about it was the Bahamas. Like I thought I was Bahamian. Oh. Well, you could ask me who I was. Yeah. I was an island girl. I was like, give me some Bob Marley, give me my flowy dress. I need to eat conch shell fritter. Listen, like that was who I
love me some conch fritters. Oh my goodness. I love the Bahamas. I really do. Yeah.
And then you come to the U.S. and then you kind of, that identity and that Americanism, it just really always came in. I say like, house chores. Oh, you're too American. You didn't think this morning we were gonna wake up and disinfect the entire house. Or you're too American. You didn't think your sister was hungry I said, what do you mean my sister's hungry? She said, well, when you eat, your sister eats. I said, I definitely understand that.
Right.
But don't adapt it to this individualistic mindset that I'm not individualistic. I think that's the biggest thing about being too American is when our parents see, especially if you have siblings, they don't see you doing this everyone needs to come along with me situation. My parents would pull me down to the side. Well, you know, your sisters are here and we came here to do this. And so you're paving the way. You're leading the way.
The pressure.
Yeah.
The pressure. And so it's like you can't even afford to mess up or anything because not only do you have your parents looking at you, you have your siblings also looking at you. And so there's so much pressure. And every choice that you make, it seems like it's a reflection on everybody else too.
Oh, it is.
Right.
It is. And then when you go outside, like I think we talked about this, is like, am I American enough for the Americans? So then the Americans are like, oh, like you're getting there. You're getting there. And then we have to dissect this. What type of American? Am I a Black American or am I an African American?
Yes. Yes. Which one would you say you're currently leaning towards?
I'd probably say I'm African American because what it stands for and how it became was the representation, the acknowledgement of the African roots and the development of what America is based on Africans, right? So to me, I feel like that needs to stay in the sentence because people need to understand like African Americans created America, but where did they first come from? Africa. Because when you say Black Americans, and this is going to turn into a toasty situation, it's like, I understand the Black American identity because of what they created for themselves within a system that was not going to let them flourish. Are we forgetting that things are going to be written down on paper? And if you look at the word African American, people will then connect the two. But if you ask Black American, it allows us to open up and understand what that is and as identity. But to me, it's like cultural perpetuity. We always need to remember where we came from. We always need to bring forth into where we currently are, where we came from. So to me, I think my Black card has been taken away so many times, especially in college. You learn that where you really are, who you really are, who you're not in college. Someone's like, oh, we need to go watch Baby Boy. And I'm like, what's Baby Boy?
I experience that so much. And even till today, I feel judged in so many ways because there's a lot of quote unquote classic Black movies that I have not seen. And people almost like look at me like, excuse me, how are you Black and not, and you don't know about the storyline for Baby Boy or what's the one with the vampire, Blade.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was a good show.
Right. You know, like there's all of these things again with that assumption that we all grew up here and we have the same shared Black experience and we don't. Right. And so sometimes I felt like having to fight for my place, you know, as a Black woman living in America.
They make you earn your identity.
It feels like it. It feels
like you're earning an identity in which that I'm saying this. I didn't ask to earn it or be it. I came here, right? As an immigrant, we came to this country. We came from a country where we saw a lot of us, whether oppressed or non-oppressed, we were here. We were there together. So when we come here, I want to just be absorbed. Like that's what I always wanted, was that absorption of me and that curiosity. Yeah. But it's like the curiosity of the pop culture is really American bonding. You have to know the movie. You got to know the TV show. You got to know the Poetic Justice braids, you know? And it's like, did you tell the hair lady you wanted Poetic Justice braids or you just wanted big, thick braids? You know what I'm saying? It's like, wait, why would you say that? And I'm like, I cannot win.
Yeah. And you know, as you're saying that, it has me wondering something that I wanted to ask you about. You know, when did you realize, and for you, you're balancing three cultures. Like, when did you realize, like, was there a moment when you were growing up where you realized, yo, I am balancing three different cultures, the Ghanaian, the Bahamian, and then also the American?
Yeah. I mean, as a Ghanaian immigrant, I first recognized that difference because it came as a difference to me at third grade. I remember Miss Jordan at A. Philip Randolph Elementary School, whoop whoop, Fulton County, Georgia. She just one day, I just remember she just said, come to the front of the class and tell your friends about your life in the Bahamas. And I was just like, baby, we'll just figure that out through playtime. Like, I'm not here to tell you who I am. And it was really because as a Ghanaian, I came here very confident. Because you, in a Ghanaian household, you are confident. You are told of all the things that you're told. But then I stood up in front of the classroom and I'm telling them about myself and like with pride and joy and excitement. Then they're like, raise their hands, ask me a question. It's like, oh, so do you like sleep next to your lion or do you sleep next to your zebra? And I'm like, sleep next to who? Who are? So then I said that the in the naive thing, I said, "Oh, my teddy bears are not lions and zebras. My teddy bears are bears." And then they're looking at me like, "What are you?"
No, we're talking about the actual animals here, okay?
So that was a moment where I'm like, I'm relating to them. Like, oh yeah, we're seeing each other. We're bonding on our stuffed animals. To be asked in clarification, no, the lion that has the mane that roars, and I'm like, baby, I don't know where they are.
They're not in my backyard.
They're not in my bed. They're not in my backyard. So yeah. So when people ask you a question like that seems to separate you and primitize you, or I'm making that word up if that's a word. You're just like, wait, what? Who am I? Because these people don't see me the way I thought they saw me. So that was it. And then the second most strongest moment where I recognized that I had multiple identities and thought I had the chance to choose which identity was going to move forward in life. I don't know the date or the time, but I remember in an American system in an elementary school, I came home and I just remember being mad and yelling at my dad. But my dad tells me, and he'll say this to his day, that I came home and I told him, I'm not speaking Ga, I'm not speaking Twi anymore in my life. Because those kids are so mean, always correcting me, mimicking me. And I said, I can choose who I am. And I guess I'm going to leave the Ghanaian behind because she's not going to make me happy. I can't be happy being her in this world. And my dad says from there, I stopped speaking Ga, I stopped speaking Twi.
Oh, wow.
And to this day,
flat out.
I wouldn't respond to them. I wouldn't respond in our dialect. I would always respond in English. So I understand my dialects, the Ga and the Twi fluently. But can I speak it? I think maybe I might need to go through hypnosis. Because I think I turned it. Like even in Ghana, you say it. And people and people say you're too American the way you say your English. So, your English is so sweet. Oh, it's so
delicious.
What's sweet about the way I'm speaking right now?
I know. And then, there's also that dead giveaway also when you speak Ga or you speak,
the accent.
Yeah, because then there's a shift that happens there and you might find yourself throwing in more English words to try to make a point.
The Twi-ish.
I saw a video maybe 2 days ago and I think it was this young man who was sitting in a car and was saying something about sitting outside and waiting for a friend, and I think they were speaking English, and then just all of a sudden the cheese slid in, like yentem. I'm okay, and it was so funny, but it's such a thing that like slides in so smoothly, and I think that sometimes our parents don't realize how much we are already integrating it, and it also breaks my heart to hear you talk about the language piece, and it reminds me of this concept called the bicultural identity integration model. And it, I that was the backdrop for my dissertation last year, and it talks about how we're able to blend the two cultures. And as you're speaking, I'm just thinking to myself, hey, we need to maybe do a training for our African parents on how we can integrate the cultures, and also maybe like the younger versions of you about the importance of being able to integrate, and especially with the language part.
And I don't think. It's funny enough, I don't think a lot of Ghanaian parents actually need that much of it. Only because my parents also did not integrate my social interactions with Ghanaian children that much. I feel like it would not have happened if I had a place to have an accent, to have my language with people my age. So we came to the U.S., and it's like my parents both have degrees, but they were working in the warehouse. So you're just in the house. You're that latchkey kid after the bus goes, right? And then to start socializing, your parents start looking around like, oh yeah, my child's so socialized, but then who should I socialize them with? And that could be another episode because of my dad's philosophy. He said, you need to be around those who are in the system and who are succeeding in the system. So we're not going to talk about who they are, right, and what they look like.
Right.
But my frustration with my language at school, because that was the only place I could be Ghanaian and learn to become American, but I had strife.
Ooh.
You
Ooh,
see?
ooh. Yeah. And speaking of the strife, I think about how for us as immigrant children, when you go home, it's obedience, it's collectivism, it's tradition, and then outside of the home, you have independence, you have self-expression, right? There's the individuality that you mentioned that, like that advocacy piece, and sometimes we're expected to master both of them like super duper perfectly, and I yeah, it's such a task, right? And so going back to our topic, because I feel like we could just go down that hill, but going back to our topic, I guess like what does it mean, or what do you think immigrant parents are referring to when they say that someone is quote unquote too American? What does that even mean?
I'm telling you, it's situational.
Mm.
You're not too American when your direct deposit hits the bank account. You're not too American, when you are inviting your family members and your friends to a
Uh-huh.
themed party that has a caterer that has
Ooh.
American drinks and Ghanaian drinks, right?
Hello.
So you're
A
not
little
too
sobolo here and there
below
with
here.
a little, Capri Sun on the side.
And the way we love Fanta is that, I mean,
Yes.
soda.
Yes, Fanta and Coke. Fanta,
So,
Coke, and Sprite.
too American just means that, to me, situationally, that individual,
Mm. Mm.
I think, is being challenged by you. I'm just going to say it.
Ooh. Can you say more
Yeah.
about that?
They're being challenged. We have a sort of monolithic culture.
Mm.
And so in our monolithic culture, there is a cohesion, there's a consensus on like what we want to celebrate, what we don't want to celebrate, how we succeed and how we excel. I'm someone who's too American because I'm able to change jobs every year and still pay my bills, still drive a car and still look good.
Ooh.
Where someone says they resign and go to another job, somehow life is not okay, right? I'm too American again when I like come into the house, put my stuff down, and I'm just excited and I start talking and I'm saying, just let's go, let's do it. Oh, you didn't
Fun.
greet me. Oh, you didn't, good afternoon, Ma. Good afternoon, Dad. I understand it.
Yeah.
But as Americans, we acknowledge each other differently.
Yeah.
Body language, physical language communicates differently. So I'm too American when I laugh with my teeth open, my mouth open. You see my tongue. Mom was like, "What is that? What is that?" I said, "What is what?
Where is this? Where is this?
The
Where is
joy?
this? Right.
You're seeing joy on my face,
And all of a sudden, it's too American. So it's almost like anything that challenges the status quo or anything that goes against the grain that they're used to. It feels like it's too American.
Yeah.
Anything that feels threatening to them.
That's the way I can, in the way that I live, and I'm just like, what did this do to you? Because too American maybe means that it's something that you won't adapt to because you feel like that helps you preserve your identity.
Yeah, and then you're also becoming, the too American is partly also because they don't understand you, right?
But that's the system you told me to go and excel in because you sacrifice so much in life that for me to come here means that I need to excel here. Ooh. But do you know who I have to become to excel? How I have to integrate new modalities of thinking and living, and even expressing. Americans like to see expression. As a Ghanaian, you say, and
here I am doing it.
And those are the 3, 4 maybe onomatopoeias you hear, and someone's very much engaged. But in American, you got to say, "Oh, no way, clock it!" Like it's a combo of movements and sign language. And so me being too American, I feel like I'm just challenging you.
And so as you're speaking to, I'm just thinking about all the many ways in which your family probably feels like you're too American for them. Right. And I wonder what that's like for you and your interactions with your family when you know that this is what they think also about you.
I love it.
Yeah.
It just means that I did become something else. I have the resilience. I have mental flexibility.
Yes.
I have dexterity. I have the things that a whole human being needs.
Yeah.
And if we really think about, like, when I look at my cousins and young people in Ghana, we get to be submissive. Genders, men and women. If you really want to see submission in gender in both genders. I think the Ghanaian community and culture has done that. Like we both know where to bow. You see a man will bow to a woman when she does something that he deems domestic and feminine, right? And then you see a man go and do something, and you're like, yes, sir, yes, we love that, yeah, we love that. So I'm trying to remember the question again. I feel like I hope I was there.
No, you answered it so beautifully because it sounds to me like you are embracing the positives of it and seeing your own growth and the ways in which you have been able to coexist.
Yeah.
Right? It sounds like you have really put work into being able to dwell and grow and thrive in a way that makes sense for you. Even if sometimes it doesn't make sense,
It's a compliment. I think we know our culture too. We have to understand when someone says something to you like, you think you're wearing that dress. You are actually wearing that dress. You
are, right?
You're killing it.
Right.
So honestly, sometimes the too American thing is a admittance to you've become a part of an American that maybe I wanted you to become. I just didn't know how to teach you. Right. Sometimes, like with my dad, he validates me that way. He's like, oh, Dorinda, I'll hear him talking to someone. He's like, oh, Dorinda went to that room and she did this in this presentation and did this and this. You know what I'm saying?
It's a moment of pride.
Yeah. And to me, that is the too American they want. Right? We have to understand there's parts of Americans they don't want. They do want. They want to see us go out there and shine. And that, to me, when I reflect from that too American, I always lean back to how my dad sees me. Because honestly, in his eyes, I feel a lot of pride. And I see that the part of the American that I am. Like my dad's an artist. He visually paints art and carves wood. And to this day, he'll tell me to go talk to someone to do pricing. Because even a Ghanaian man can't say, pay me my money.
Rub me my money.
This man's been an artist for over 35 years in 3 different countries, in museums, and me, little old me, the too American daughter who can run her mouth, is the one negotiating a price for your painting.
Because you have a skill set that he probably never had the opportunity to develop. A muscle that he never got a chance to exercise.
It's accent. My dad's a teacher. He speaks into students, of course, to teachers whenever he has to do whatever he has to do, or principals or superintendents. But I even look at my dad, I'm like, I'm confident because of you. But why is it that you limit yourself with your accent, or you don't want to repeat? He doesn't like repeating himself. So if someone says 75 and he says 75, and then they're saying, what's 75? And it's like, I said 75.
It's 75. Okay, because we like to accentuate the T. And I'm
just like, Dad, like, I don't know. Can't you enjoy that banter? And for him, it's like a no. It's a no for him. So
I can see where he's coming from, because even when I was in grad school, right, there was a word that I struggled with saying, and every time I would say it, my classmates would make fun of me, right? And some of my classmates would, and they thought it was cute, quote unquote. But I knew that people were poking fun at the way that I say adolescent. Right. And so for a very long time, I did not say adolescent, because it will come out as adolescent, because where we come from, it's adolescent, and so I would always just go with teenager. And sometimes it would kind of want to come out, the adult, but then it would always go back to teenager because I was so conscious of it. So I see where your dad is coming from in that way. So, the reality of it is that as immigrant children, we're really living double lives in so many different ways. Who we are at home and sometimes who we are outside. I feel like if our parents put a little camera with us and they saw us outside, they would probably encounter a totally different person. And even for me, I'm still allowing my family a little bit more access to those parts of me. And so I remember even my dad talking about this podcast, so, there's YouTube, and because I didn't really talk to him about it, because like sometimes
you don't want to hear sometimes their words don't help you. Let's just be honest. It does not make ideas flourish, creativity flourish. It doesn't bring excitement to life. Like that's the part when I do think about too American, I'm like, that's the parts that make me want to shut myself in. And like go read a Ghanaian book or listen to like an old Ghanaian movie, so somehow I can have an accent,
and prove myself. Like, anybody got time for that?
It doesn't help.
So let's get into a little bit of fun here. And what I would like to ask is what is something that you did outside of your house that your parents would have absolutely panicked over?
just being outside in the first place.
Just being outside.
I don't know. Ghanaians always like, why are you? What is there to do? And how much money are you spending? But
that costs money. We can send the money home and go and buy cement with it and blocks and build something on the land.
Do you know who's calling me? Yeah. Okay. So what would I do outside that's too American that my
like if your parents found out like
oh my
you would they would be freaking out a little bit.
Oh my goodness. I have to go to my mom because she's a traditional Ghanaian mother. My dad's very laissez-faire about life, but as an artist, maybe that's who he is. My mom, the first thing that she always says that's too American about me is I like making friends. She says, you like making friends.
Yeah. Because they'll take you back to that proverb, that parable that we have about the why the crab doesn't have a head.
I haven't even heard this one. Oh, beautiful.
There's a story about the fact that the crab doesn't have a head because it had too many friends, and so like I guess eventually like it lost its head, and so now it doesn't have a
I'm glad my mom doesn't know that.
And there's a tree saying that a nti or something like that, and please forgive me if I butchered that, but something along those lines. I can't remember the exact words, but yeah, like the whole friends thing.
That is the one thing to this day, both of my parents, I think, but my mom always says that to me moving out to Seattle. She was like, don't be too friend. And my mom saw it one time. I went to like a Ghanaian party. Yeah. But I saw my friend Kobe, so I went to go hug him, and I was like, hey, Kobe. And like I'm holding his like side of his arms, and I'm like rubbing him, and like come back to sing. My mom's like, what is that?
What are you doing?
She always will squeeze her whole face. And I'm like, but we are Ghanaians. We're loving, caring, compassionate. People talk about how hospitable we are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think I'm doing what I've seen you do.
Yeah.
She's like, no, not to those people, not to them. And I'm like, oh, now we're sectionalizing where our welcome spirit can be expressed.
Yeah.
So that is the one thing my parents are always like, listen, just go there and do what you're supposed to do. Go there and do what you're supposed to do. You don't need to talk. You don't need to talk. But I'm like, we're in America. Have you heard of networking?
Hello?
You think all straight A's and a 3.0 like GPA will get me a job somewhere?
Right?
No. Right? I have to do that, and I have to go speak to the daughter of this guy.
Yes.
Who will then I'll hang out with her, but then she'll talk to her dad, and then.
Yeah. I know my parents probably have that feeling, especially maybe my dad. My mom maybe not so much because she goes with me to some of these things sometimes, but I know my dad, for example, probably thinks that I go out too much and you're always working because like for the practice to be successful, I need to be outside. Listen, I'm an introvert. I don't want to be outside either. Okay, I want to stay home in my bed and read a book. But I have to exert myself. I have to go outside and do this work and socialize. And I'm just like, I don't want to do it. So, if you thinking like, you're always out. And where is Phoebe? Isn't she coming home? When is she coming home? Your girl is outside, okay? She trying to make this money.
Socialize. And it's not even that we're bringing these people into the deepest, closest part of our lives.
No.
I think my parents...
There's a method to it. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
off. I just loved it because it's very simple. And to me, it was a very simple thing. And I mean, when I started getting my yoga certification, that was crazy. Like, wow, my mom was just like...
A whole Ghanaian with yoga. Did y'all hear that? Yoga certification as a Ghanaian.
Come on. Kale. Because there's Kemet yoga, which is like Egyptian yoga. And then I thought, okay, maybe if I just get that certification. But I was like, you know what? It feels too pigeonholed or Kemet yoga. So I'm just going to find a general yoga certification. But then once I started getting my mat and things like that, and I'm going out to public, again, my mom said, are you opening a gym? She said, where's your gym? I said,
I am the gym.
Sometimes you have to say
the gym is me.
Spicy back to them because at least for me, I'm a very sensitive person.
Yeah.
And because again, not growing in a Ghanaian household with like the aunts and aunties to be picked at, I think if you get a good tough skin in a Ghanaian culture in a household because you get picked at. I didn't have that. So too American was also after I wanted to socialize. It was like I wanted my feelings to be coddled. I wanted to be validated.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing for me was like asking my parents at 10 to say I love you. My parents said, where's the food on your plate? Did you eat it? Is it in your stomach? There's your love. There's your love.
The love is the roof over your head. The card that you get to ride into school.
So affection and the desire to emote, based on how I want to emote. And observing Americans emote and then observing Ghanaians emote. We are expressive people.
Yeah.
So why is it that when I express myself and I socialize and I bundle it all together, I'm too American? It breaks my heart.
And here's what I think that many parents don't realize, right? That immigrant children are often carrying two emotional responsibilities at once, right? We're trying to honor the families where we came from. We're trying to figure out who we are individually. And that's really, really hard. And so many of us become like these translators where, for example, you're talking about like, the emotions and we have to like learn how to figure out some of these things for ourselves, but also for our families so that we can get some of our needs met, even though that might not always happen. And, early on, we start trying to navigate who we are in like these different places. And honestly, it ends up being really, really exhausting over time. So this week's Bridge the Gap tip, right? Because I always have a tip here. My tip today is that, we stop treating adaptation like it's betrayal, like we're letting go of our culture, right? So if you're the parent, your child is learning the culture they grew up in, and that does not mean that they hate their roots. And if you're the child, right, learning independence and boundaries does not mean that you have to like reject the culture completely, right? Two things can exist at once, right? You can love your family, you can love your culture, and you can also evolve and do things like yoga certifications and things like that, right? So it's not an either it's not an either or, right? So I have one final question for you, and that question is, what do you wish that immigrant parents really understood better about their children that are being raised between the two cultures?
Oh my gosh. Well, one, my first instinct is to say that we love them, but I don't think that's gonna land too far. Cause what? Like, love doesn't pay the bills, right? So, dang.
Yeah.
What do I? Ooh. I don't want to say one thing. So honestly, they don't need to understand. They just need to be there.
Okay, so just existing, and seeing, witnessing us.
If you can just somehow observe and listen and watch, because the knowing is not that they cannot know more, they cannot adapt their mindsets. I genuinely believe they can. But there's a part of it that you need. It's like a check and balances.
Yeah.
But it's can you just let me exist? Can you just let me be?
Yeah.
Can you genuinely let me be?
Yeah.
And I don't know, because I had a conversation with my mom just recently about like, just be there and offer what can you do.
Yeah.
But when you ask me, I told her, when you ask me those questions, it makes me second guess myself as if I haven't done the work.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about like life things in general.
Yeah.
So I just tell them to just witness us. Be witnesses.
Be witnesses.
Compassionate, joyful witnesses. And if you can't be a compassionate, joyful witness, please put on your glasses, close the shades, be happy somewhere else. Please.
Be happy somewhere else. And the reality of it is that, being raised between two cultures or three cultures, like in your case, it means constantly, building bridges inside of yourself too, right? As a person, right? And sometimes that bridge might feel shaky because, the elders don't want to go sit down and close the blinds and just, do their thing. But it also means that you get to create something beautiful. And it sounds like you have created something really, really beautiful within yourself. And I just love that for you. I love that you get to experience yourself and allow yourself to be, right? And so thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. And I hope that you all have enjoyed this as much as I have enjoyed this.
Yes, saying it out loud has been cathartic.
Oh, I love that. So we will be back with another episode here, and I'm Dr. Phebe, and this is Between Two Worlds with Dr. Phebe, where identity, healing, culture, the whole thing, we try to figure out how we can meet in the middle. So thank you so much
for having me.
So guess what? We are opening up some slots for a sponsorship. If you've been watching or listening to this podcast and you've been enjoying it as much as we have been enjoying recording it, I would love to invite you to consider sponsoring us. You can reach out to me at consult@PhebeBrakoLMFT.com. That's consult@PhebeBrakoLMFT.com. We have a wide range when it comes to our audience, and we would love for our audience to hear about you, your service, or your product. Thank you so much.